I've had a lot of great teachers here. That's one of the things that really impressed me about UCLA. It's a big public institution, but this really feels like a small private school. And the faculty treat you that way. You're in classes of about 60 people maximum, so they get to know every student individually. I've had a number of faculty that I really like. Professor Garmes taught a venture capital course, which was very intense. We had 17 assignments due over 10 weeks.
Wow. The first day of class.
Yeah, one before the first lecture started. The other professor I really want to say something about is Gonzalo Freixas. He is our new dean. He does gap advisors for a number of different groups, and he teaches law and tax classes here at school. He's terribly involved, a super great guy to work with, and someone who really supports the school, and he's a great lecturer. So that's another person I would love to plug.
Yeah, I was really happy with the large majority of my professors. I mean, there's some, I remember when I was hearing about electives or classes, sometimes people would say, oh, you know, the professors, they wrote a book and they're only going to talk about their book, and, you know, they're trying to plug their own stuff. And there were maybe a few classes where I had professors who used their own books as the text, but actually I really liked that because their text, there's a reason why they've published this book and it's really good and they know their topic, and they're also able to incorporate dissenting opinions to what they may believe. So to me, I mean, I actually really liked sitting back and having someone who's an expert in their field, whether it be that they published a book on it or whether they went and they just spoke with, you know, the former head of the Federal Reserve, which happened with Professor Edwards' class. I mean, and they'll come back and they'll tell you, I had lunch last week with the former Fed chair. I mean, that kind of stuff, you don't get that. It's just, you know, you don't get that every day, and I think that's really interesting. I think the one that I would plug, I mean, I think they're all very good, but the one that I really was impressed by is Professor Eric Sussman. He's won a ton of awards. He's a real estate professor, also does accounting, teaches accounting classes, and he's one where I'm just amazed with how dedicated he is to his class. I mean, it's unbelievable how, it's a hard class, and it's packed with a lot of information, it's a lot of work, but he really cares about you wanting to understand this topic, and he loves it, and the fact that he loves what he does comes through in the way he teaches.
He's another one of the guys that does the gap.
He does, he's a gap advisor. Professor Freixas is the same way. You know, it's just, I've been really impressed with the amount they care about our education, and I think that's something I would hope people coming here would also appreciate.
I used the Anderson Feedback website a lot when selecting classes, primarily because I thought the value I was going to get out of these things was really, really strongly tied to the professor I was having. So there's certainly some big kind of hitter name people out there. That I had a FIMBA, I was with my company a few years ahead. He basically told me, your MBA experience is not complete unless you take Sussman, Garmes, and Cockrum. But, you know, there's other names you've really got to add to that list. You know, DeFigueiredo's non-market strategy class is phenomenal. It's all the stuff that's not quite business, managing the media. I had an opportunity to step up and take an advanced statistics class with Richard Stern, who, when I first met him, he was out feeding the crows on the bridges along. And I was like, who is this guy? What's going on? And I go into his class. He's very eccentric, but you know, man's brilliant. He knows more about statistics than anybody I've ever met, and he's a really, really good speaker. And you talk about the professors who really want you to learn. He was one of the guys who gave us his home phone number and said, call me anytime. And I mean anytime. 3 a.m. is a time. I would much rather have you, you know, calling in and have me take 5 minutes to wake up and 10 minutes to explain what's going on than sit there and struggle through something when it's right in the middle of the night. But both Ainsley and Bronnenberg from marketing, really enjoyed them. I had Abe as a faculty advisor, and the man's a shark. He's just brilliant and really intense and not at all afraid to tell you exactly what he thinks. But the second you figure out that you can roll with that kind of an attitude, wow, it's excellent. So I don't know, I think I dropped about 15 names there, but it's been good.